Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, starts with a weather impact alert.
Well, as you can tell in those teases, it's a very soggy Friday across the state. Take a look at what our traffic cams are picking up right now in New London, Danbury, and East Hartford. All very wet out there. And check this out. Here's this scene in Portland. The town's fire department says drivers tried to drive through the water on the left side of Main Street. Crews had to rescue them. And some wires, another heads up, are down in Newington on West Hill Road. Our team went to go check this out about an hour ago. It's unclear if the weather caused the wires to go down. Still important, though, if you see scenes like this, wires down, flooded rows, do not go through them. Thank you so much for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Angelo Bavar. We still have a few hours left in this weather impact alert. Meteorologist Deshaun Robinson is tracking what to expect for your Friday night. Deshaun, hopefully things quiet down soon. What's going on?
Angelo, thankfully, the worst of the rain is over, but we're still looking at scattered showers and the potential for a couple of downpours that could lead to some minor flooding. Now, it's important to remember, never drive through floodwaters, turn around, and don't drown, as they say. So we have this area of low pressure that is pushing through the region with periods of rain, and this low pressure is just tapping into moisture from the tropics. That is why we had those heavy downpours earlier. Still looking at some scattered showers across the state. Another round of light showers is pushing through parts of Litchfield and Fairfield counties. Over the next few hours, we're still looking at scattered showers, so keep your umbrellas handy. But as you can see, the worst of the rain is over, more scattered as we head into Saturday morning. By the time we get into Saturday afternoon, these showers should push out, allowing drier conditions to move in, and Saturday afternoon, we're forecasting a mix of sun and clouds. Coming up, I'll take a closer look at this weekend's weather. Back to you, Angelo.
We'll check back in. Deshaun, thank you so much. Developing tonight, a church funeral service ended in a fight that left one person stabbed and another person shot. Police described the scene as a melee. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules is in Hartford with what police say led up to that violence inside a place of worship.
A day of mourning quickly turned into a day of chaos and panic after police say a shooting happened at the Gospel Lighthouse Apostolic Church during a funeral.
Church? A place where people come to get guidance and get help from a higher power. It has to stop. Where does it stop?
Curtis Thomas was on his way to this church to sing at the service when he learned of the shooting. He was shocked and disturbed to see all the police cars and commotion.
It's already enough grieving with this family as it is, and you have the audacity to come into a church, and to perform such action. It's sad.
Lieutenant Aaron Boisvert with the Hartford Police Department says they received multiple phone calls reporting gunfire at the church.
While on scene, a female arrived at an area hospital suffering from what is described as a non-life-threatening graze-type injury, most likely from a gunshot wound. About half an hour later, a male showed up with a stab wound.
Boisvert says there was gunfire both inside and outside of the church that sent more than 100 people into a panic.
There was an argument inside that turned physical, that turned into a melee, that turned violent.
Thomas says the woman who the funeral service was for was loved by many.
The individual that is passing on, she was a lovely woman, made an impact on so many lives.
He says it's heartbreaking to see so much violence on a day meant to celebrate her life.
For this day to be turned into a day of fear and tragedy on top of grieving is, I don't even know how to explain my emotions right now.
This latest incident comes just days after two shootings in Hartford happened just hours apart. Freddie Graves, a Hartford resident and member of Mothers United Against Violence, says this amount of violence is terrifying.
I think that we're going to have to learn how to resolve our issues other than with a gun.
Police are still investigating the incident, and anyone with information is encouraged to contact their tip line. In Hartford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
We just learned the names of the mother and daughter who died in their Watertown home last week. Investigators say 70-year-old Linda DeBramo and her 40-year-old daughter Dana were found after flames tore through their Pleasant View Avenue home on May 2nd. They were the only ones living there. Local and state officials are still working to find out what caused that fire and how those two women died. A construction worker was killed in a workplace accident in Meriden this week. Police say they are still trying to figure out exactly what happened here. A local spokesperson says a long list of questionable workplace practices could have contributed to that death. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson shares what we know so far.
At this construction site behind me, a man died on the job. It's a tragic ending for a man who was just trying to provide a living for his family. But advocates tell me this could have been avoided.
They're devastated, trying to make sense of it all.
Edwin Guzman died in a workplace accident Wednesday at a construction site on B Street in Meriden.
It's a tragedy for them. The young man was just trying to make a living like anyone else.
Miguel Fuentes and the North Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters says this is a loss that could have been prevented.
Unfortunately, on Wednesday, alongside his brother, where they were working together, this tragedy occurs. There's been problems with management on that site, not only how things were happening, but oversight over the subcontractors. And again, I'm hoping that didn't contribute to the death of this young man.
Fuentes says he and his team have been following the work being done at this site for over a month.
Look at this. These are all individuals.
Problems at the site go back to when about 50 workers complained to the union about not being paid from the Philadelphia-based contractor AR Building Company.
48 hours a week at $24 an hour. That's for 1,200 hours, not paid. And so on, and so on, and so on. 50 folks that were not paid.
The union started to investigate and found even more oversights.
What started as a wage theft, they quickly discovered that they were non-compliant in workers' compensation, they were non-compliant in reporting payroll, they were non-compliant in being registered in the state of Connecticut, so they were blatantly violating the law across the board. It's safe to say that this is a pattern of behavior and maybe even negligence.
Fuentes says this led to a stop work order being issued to the job site on April 9th, but eventually they were able to start working again.
Between that day and yesterday, they became compliant, but at the same time, while they gave the impression that they were compliant, they got caught doing some of the very same thing.
That is until Guzman's death, which Fuentes says resulted in another stop work order.
If they're going to be fast and loose with the things that they're required to do, does safety become an afterthought? It's just the cost of doing business if they do, until the cost is someone's life.
We reached out to AR Building Company for comment, but we got no answer. Now, we also reached out to Meriden Police, and they say they responded to the incident and then turned the investigation over to OSHA. In Meriden, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
A man accused of kidnapping 4 decades ago faced a judge today in Waterbury. Police said the crimes happened in the early 1980s, but were only reported earlier this year. 60-year-old John Church of Canton is accused of kidnapping and sexually abusing 2 children under the age of 6. Police say this happened in 1982 and 1983 in Watertown. So they said they cannot charge him with sexual assault because of the statute of limitations. It's been too long. They are charging him with 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping. Church's bond was reduced from $1.5 million to $50,000. It's not clear if he posted bail or when he'll be in court next. His arrest warrant is sealed for 14 days. Okay, take a look at your screen here. Hartford police say this man stabbed someone in the back at the New Britain Fast Track station last month. Officials tell us this man and another person got into a fight on April 4th just before 8:30 at night, and then that man stabbed that person in the back. We're told that person is okay. Police believe the man pictured is responsible. If you know anything about this incident or you know this man, you're asked to call Hartford police. A woman who was already facing animal cruelty charges appeared in court today to face even more of them. Sarah Smolak of Winchester is now charged with animal cruelty in Norwalk. Police say 2 pit bulls under Smolak's care had rapid health deteriorations. They arrested Smolak yesterday, and with this new arrest, law enforcement accused Smolak of abusing 40 dogs in total. A Norwalk High School softball coach is facing charges for apparently touching students without their consent. Police say 70-year-old Kerry Nadeau of Wilton turned himself in today. It's reported that he acted inappropriately towards students on school grounds. It's unclear when this happened or how many people are involved in this. Nadeau is being held on $100,000 bond on sexual assault and risk of injury charges. We have reached out to Norwalk Public Schools. They say they consider personnel matters to be confidential, and they have no other comments. New at 6, a Trumbull man faces federal charges for scheming Amazon of more than $3 million. 24-year-old Amir Nasser was arrested yesterday on 13 counts of wire fraud. It's reported that Nasser fraudulently registered trucking businesses with Amazon Logistics to transport trailers. This happened between December of 2019 to February of 2021. Investigators say he manipulated information in the system to say he completed trailer movements when he actually did not. Nasser is being held on $300,000 bond. We are continuing our coverage from last hour into new data that shows police are pulling over Connecticut drivers more often. Now at 6, we're learning more about the racial disparities in this. The CT Data Collaborative reports 58% of traffic stops in 2023 were white. Reports show 19% of both black and Hispanic drivers were pulled over. In 2023, more than 5,500 vehicles were searched. Less than 1% of white drivers' vehicles were searched. Black and Hispanic drivers experienced the highest search rate at nearly 3%. That 2023 report says compared to other racial groups, black and Hispanic drivers are less likely to be stopped for safety-related reasons and more likely to be stopped for administrative or equipment violations. CT Data Collaborative says while this pattern has been persistent in Connecticut, measurable improvements have been made.